It's all about bringing first-class entertainment, whether it be the orchestra or different kinds of shows.
You have to have a place where people can go to celebrate arts, whatever form it is, and particularly in concerts and plays and musicals.
As St. Petersburg continues to blossom and grow, the Mahaffey Theater continues to be the center of the cultural and entertainment activities.
There's no setting like the setting that you have at the Mahaffey Theater right now. Looking through the windows to the water fountain and to the water is unlike anything you see going anyplace else.
I think any major community, and certainly St. Petersburg is a major community, has to have a venue, a location to be able to host major events, whether they be sports or they be culture or entertainment. And the city wisely, back in the mid-60s, decided that we needed such a venue.
Also at that time, they had an arena, and they used to have ice shows in the marina, and they even played a little hockey in there and some other kind of things. So it's kind of a connected type of thing. So when you were at the Bayfront Mahaffey, you also a part of the arena.
When they had the big events there, I'd always participate and go down because it was just such a proud place to go to, especially when we had the arena there as well. So you had two different activities going on at the same time, and it made a positive image for our city.
Everyone talked about the theater, because it wasn't called the Mahaffey Theater back then, at Bayfront Center and the arena.
The history that's gone through that, the number of entertainers that have been in that facility has just been phenomenal. Liberace, Jimmy Buffett, Diana Ross, I don't know how many times has been there.
I think the Beach Boys were a hot group then.
I remember Barry White and Earth, Wind and Fire and James Brown. I just remember some of the most incredible concerts there.
Lots of big names played there. Actually, I think Elvis was there.
My favorite show probably of all to see, which I didn't think it was going to be, was Elvis Presley. And the women were unbelievably screaming. We actually wore earplugs because of the screaming and the noise. It was amazing.
Well, I think the fondest memories I have were watching the Davis Cup championship between the United States and Australia, and watching the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and then the college basketball tournament that we held during the holiday seasons.
Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey used to perform at the Bayfront Center Arena.
And they would bring the elephants down, you know, and so forth from the right close to Tropicana Field in.
I joked about how many circuses shows I've seen, and it's over 200.
One year we had 10 days of circus and 17 shows, and every weekend we either had a Florida orchestra or some sort of other event in the Mahaffey.
But just the amount of people that were involved, and there were various, I guess, the three rings going on at one time.
My children, their grandparents just loved taking them down to the Bayfront Center. They took them to the circus every year. Now, I would take them to the parade that marched down First Avenue from the train to Bayfront, but my parents always took them to the circus.
We had an incident where they closed down the main lobby. Gunther Gable Williams was standing there with the cat. We opened the door. He looks over at us, the cat turns and looks at us, and we look at one another, and we start hauling for the other door.
Taking our children and queuing up for the popcorn and watching all those animals, it was just a great event.
I just remember how fun it was to be an usher. Some of the events at the Mahaffey Theater itself they didn't use as many ushers. So you were kind of special if you got to work one of the events there.
Not to forget the name, you know, the ones who really were responsible for it. You know, Mark Mahaffey is still here, but his father, I think, you know, and the contributions he made to make sure that that theater was there.
In my memory, the Mahaffey was the first theater-styled facility that we had. And I think that's important.
When major renovations took place, the city had to come up with millions of dollars, thus the creation of a foundation.
The Bayfront Center, the arena, certainly needed some work, but pretty much cosmetic type work, not tearing apart or anything like that. The theater, however, they wanted to totally create a new kind of theater.
We shut down for about 15 months, and that's when they stripped it totally inside and rebuilt it totally inside.
And they came to me and asked if our family would consider donating some money to the city.
So the key was to keep the Mahaffey growing, was to be able to provide on the public sector the funds necessary over the years to make it work, and then encouraging and enabling the private sector to be able to support it with millions of dollars, which they have successfully done.
And so we decided with the city, well, why don't we name it the Mahaffey Theater? That'd be sort of neat.
When they opened it up, it gave you an impression of the European theaters that you go see. And it was, and everybody was just thrilled with that.
Well, as an elected official, we were involved back in 1988 in the rededication of that, and I served as the chairman of that particular committee. And we had a very successful reopening after 15 months of shutdown on the facility.
Idea was, how could we bring in shows then that would allow us to really break even on them, or to make a profit. Of course, you know, we wanted to, you know, make money if we could.
And I believe that we deserve the best coming through there, like Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, the drama groups that they bring in.
You get to see people up close, the people that make history in the entertainment industry, and you get to see them up close when they come down to the Mahaffey.
I took my mother there to see Etta James. You know, it's just important to have a place, but also it's very important for that place to be a beautiful place.
One of the things I do remember was one year when B.B. King was there, and he was here on New Year's Eve. That's one of the very few artists that I actually got to meet.
What was so unique was seeing Red Skelton for the first time. He came over to me and, hi, how you doing? Put his arm around me. Somebody get a camera, took my picture.
Phyllis Diller performed at the Mahaffey Theater, and she was the one that coined the phrase, the home of the newlywed or nearly dead for St. Petersburg. Well, at this point, clearly she'd be eating her words, because St. Petersburg has gotten younger and more hip.
I wanted to become more involved with this community in as many ways as possible. And of course, with having a love for the theater and other things that could take place in the Mahaffey.
The Mahaffey Theater was just absolutely renowned for the Broadway series that we had there.
We'd have 5 Broadway shows every single season.
And they had a great following, a lot of season ticket holders for the series, and we had wonderful shows coming in.
Broadway, you know, was a big piece of the city.
It was the home, it was the original home, and still is the home of the Florida Orchestra.
The Mahaffey has allowed that orchestra to be a major kind of player in the cultural community of St. Petersburg.
It's the backbone of what started our whole art movement, it seemed like, in the area, with the Dali coming in and now all the artists and things that are happening.
Probably one of the most magnificent experiences for me was to hear the sound of the orchestra plus the voices of the master chorale.
Where else can we find the entire mixture, the entire spectrum of the arts.
The Mahaffey has reached out and really put a support system under that orchestra.
One of the things that I really loved about the Mahaffey Theater and everything was the children's programs. We had a program called Class Acts that the schools took part in.
How do you get your future audience into the seats, and you start with children?
The idea was that arts are a way to really enhance education for young people.
There's a curriculum that the school teachers are able to present prior to the performance as well as on the back end.
And it might be something to do with appearance, or it might be doing something else, but children were involved, and it brought children into the theater.
When I look back on what Class Acts might have meant for kids over the years, my hope would be that kids remember saying, hey, that was the first place I ever went to see an arts performance, perhaps the first time they ever heard the Florida Orchestra.
But Class Acts still, in my judgment, was my favorite, and I still walk over to go to Class Acts every once in a while.
That's why when you have an entertainment center like that downtown, it's very attractive to the kids. The symphony and some of the smaller shows that want to come into a venue like that, especially it's a quality venue.
I can remember my mentor was Peggy Peterman. She was my mentor and my friend. And she started the Black History pageant. And the theater would be so full of people. She would write the pageant every year. And young African Americans who never thought that they had the talent, or could memorize a poem and recite it, or be on a beautiful stage in front of a large audience, had the opportunity to do that.
Another big event that I recall that really encompassed the whole facility, of course, was when we had the vice presidential debate.
When we first bid on the event, we had bid for a presidential debate, and that's what we were awarded. And it was about 7 to 10 days prior to the October 1996 debate that the Commission on Presidential Debates contacted us and said, oops, we've made a change. You're now going to have the vice presidential debate.
That's one of the most precious memory I've ever had in my life, just to see that debate and so many wonderful people. Basically, the security around the place was so that you just couldn't walk into the place.
But overall, to see how wonderfully it could work, given that the arena was used as the press area, and the theater, of course, is where the debate took place, was just great to have that kind of focus on our city and our theater for that time.
The Miss Florida pageant relocated, I believe it was from Miami, to downtown St. Petersburg in 2003, and we had phenomenal excitement about that.
We also have the mayor's showcase there, where kids students from all over the county participate in that, not just the students of St. Petersburg, but all over the county, and it's amazing from the different talents that we have.
It's a lovely venue to attract anything. The Bayfront Center, I was sad to see it go because I did have the history there.
Back in 2004, we decided that there was no longer a need for the arena, and it was imploded. And there was such a turnout of people to actually watch it being imploded, and phenomenal media coverage.
Bill Edwards and others, have seen, the value of that part, the performing arts, and bringing people in.
Well, with the foundation, as long as Mr. Edwards and Big 3 Entertainment is part of the theater, the foundation will absolutely be there side by side in partnership with them. A foundation, and this foundation in particular, is vital to maintaining the relevance and the vitality of the Mahaffey Theater.
You know, 50 years from now, who knows what it'll look like. But one thing is absolute. and that is it's going to be right on the waterfront, unobstructed view, beautiful location.
I can't see it doing anything different except more of what it's already doing, giving us the opportunity to experience these wonderful kinds of productions.
The theater is the basis for cultural awareness and cultural activities.
The common comment that we hear a lot is, oh, that's such a wonderful theater. It's so warm.
I can't count the amount of times that I have been told by visitors to the Mahaffey Theater, they feel as if they're in some glorious venue in Europe.
It's a huge asset to our city. I can't imagine it ever not being there.
It's alive, it's vital, it brings the arts into the downtown St. Pete that is already so rich.
It's just amazing what has gone on and is going on at the Mahaffey Theater. I've gone to many places, but you can't beat the Mahaffey Theater.
I'm mighty proud of the Mahaffey Theater to be right in our backyard in St. Petersburg, Florida.